Initia has been listed on Bitget for pre-market trading. So before I decide if I'm going to buy into this, I wanted to do a bunch of research and learn everything that I could about the project. So I went to their website and I grabbed all this information, and I went to their Initia docs and I grabbed all of this information. Then I went to YouTube and I searched out a whole bunch of different YouTubers that have been talking about Initia and everything going on with it. Then I brought all that information into a Google Notebook LM, and then I asked the AI to explain to me what the project is about, what problem does it solve or benefit does it produce, or what, and how can users, developers, and investors seek to make money from this project. I gathered that information together into this collection of documents and I summarized it into a PDF that you can get down below here. Just click on the free PDF and grab all that information so that you know more about this project too. And the last step for my own research is to create this audio overview. And as I go through to edit that, I sure learn a lot about this project. I'm very glad I did this. Now, this tutorial is not focused on getting airdrops, but be sure to watch till the end because it does show us how users, developers, and investors can make money from this project. All right, I've got the podcast queued up. Let's sit back and learn about this amazing new project.
Ever feel like the different worlds of crypto, all these blockchains, are basically speaking different languages?
Yeah, it can get pretty fragmented, right?
Totally. So what if there was a way to connect them all, make things simpler, smoother?
Well, that's kind of the promise we're looking into today.
Exactly. Today we're diving deep into the Initia network, INET. We want to figure out how it plans to bridge these gaps.
And crucially, what that might mean for, well, everyone involved, users, developers.
Investors, yeah.
For this deep dive, we've looked at a bunch of stuff. Binance Launchpool analysis, YouTube talks with the Initia team and other experts, plus Initia's own docs, of course.
So quite a bit of material.
Definitely. Our goal here is really to cut through the complexity, give a clear picture. What is Initia? What problem is it actually trying to solve?
And importantly, how people might potentially benefit. Financially even.
Right. We'll unpack that.
And make sure you stick around because later on we will get into those potential ways to generate some income within this Initia ecosystem.
Good tease.
Okay, let's jump in. What exactly is the Initia network at its core?
Okay, so in simple terms, Initia is a layer 1 blockchain. Think of it like the main highway, the foundation.
Standard stuff so far.
But yeah, here's the twist. It's specifically built to support a whole network of other blockchains, layer 2s.
Ah,
okay.
Like rollups?
Exactly, rollups. Initia often calls them minishas. Their own docs say Initia is a layer 1 blockchain, but with a twist, it's designed to support an ecosystem of layer 2 blockchains, also known as rollups.
So it's an L1 for L2s, essentially.
Pretty much. Its main job is fostering this connected ecosystem of these layer 2s.
These interwoven rollups or minishas, that term keeps coming up. What's special about them being interwoven?
Right. So imagine all those layer 2s as like individual roads built for specific apps.
Right.
What Initia is trying to do is build a system where these roads aren't isolated. They're all designed to connect smoothly back to the main highway, the Initia L1.
Making them interconnected.
Yes. Initia describes itself as, let me find the quote, a network for interwoven rollups. We are holistically rebuilding a new multi-chain world using the Initia L1 and an interwoven system of L2s.
So it's a whole system.
And the key thing is, these minishas aren't just simple scaling layers. They're meant to be full-on Cosmos chains themselves.
Full Cosmos chains. So quite flexible.
Very flexible, yeah. Lots of customization possible for developers.
So this isn't just about making things faster or cheaper then. Is it broader than that?
Oh, definitely. Speed and cost are part of it, sure. But the core goals are wider. They talk about modularity, scalability, and interoperability.
The classic blockchain trio.
Right. And being built with the Cosmos SDK gives it that modularity from the start. You can swap components in and out.
Okay. And scalability comes from the rollups.
Correct. They handle transactions off the main chain. And the whole architecture is built for interoperability, making sure these different chains can talk to each other easily.
And there's specific tech for this. The interwoven stack.
Exactly that. That's Initia's tech stack. It helps developers spin up custom rollups using different virtual machines like EVM Move or WAM.
Whoa, okay. So multiple VMs, EVM, Move, WASM. That's quite a range.
It is, and that's a big deal for developers. Think of VMs like different operating systems for blockchains.
Right.
Supporting the Ethereum virtual machine, EVM, is huge for compatibility. Then you've got Move, which is known for security, especially with assets, and WebAssembly, or WASM, is another powerful option.
So developers can pick the best tool for their specific job.
Precisely. A lot of flexibility there.
Now, you mentioned the problem Initia's trying to solve. They use some pretty strong language about the current situation.
They did, yeah. In some materials, they referred to their words, the clusterfuck that we have right now of like liquidity fragmentation, and user experience that exists within those landscapes.
Wow, okay. Telling it like they see it.
Seems so. And they're talking about both the Cosmos world and, all the Ethereum rollups.
And it is fragmented, isn't it? You have assets here, apps there.
Exactly. You might have tokens on one chain, NFTs on another, trying to use a DeFi app on a third, moving things between them. It's often complex.
Expensive sometimes, too. And slow.
Right. That fragmentation of money, of users, it just makes the whole Web3 experience clunky. It holds things back.
So Initia wants to unify that, make it more connected.
That's the core idea. They aim to build opinionated infrastructure, such as data availability, interoperability, and oracles.
Opinionated, what does that mean here?
It means they make certain choices for the developers. Instead of saying, here are a million options for data availability or how chains talk or getting real-world data, Initia provides specific built-in solutions for these core things.
Ah, okay. So less for the developer to figure out.
Exactly. The goal is reducing decision fatigue. The Interwoven stack gives developers the tools for their specific apps, but the underlying connections, the infrastructure, it's designed to just work together across the ecosystem.
Maintaining that unfragmented accessibility.
That's the phrase they use, yeah. So developers can focus on their app knowing the plumbing is handled.
Okay, this concept of enshrined liquidity sounds really different. It's tied to network security, but it's more.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite clever, actually. It tackles both security and that liquidity fragmentation problem we just talked about.
How does it work?
Well, to bootstrap cross-chain liquidity and maintain network security, Initia employs enshrined liquidity on its L1. Basically, it involves staking specific tokens, not just the Inite token, but Inite paired with other assets in liquidity pools. These are called Inite XLP tokens.
Like Inite paired with USDC or ETH.
Exactly. They mention pairs like Initdc, Native, Initia as examples. When you stake these pairs...
You're securing the network like normal staking.
Yes, that's part one. But part two is that this pool of staked assets, the USDC, the ETH, the TIA, becomes readily available liquidity for all the layer twos, the Minitias.
Ah, so the L2s can tap into this pool.
Right. It acts as an interlayer 2 router, is how they put it. It helps overcome issues you see elsewhere, like with IBC needing direct connections between chains.
So it's like a central exchange built into the L1 that all the L2s can use for swaps.
That's a pretty good analogy, yeah. It simplifies cross-chain transactions massively because the L2s don't each need to build up huge liquidity pools from scratch. It's just there on the L1.
Wow, okay. That does sound like a comprehensive way to tackle these multi-chain headaches.
It really does seem like it. By focusing on that interconnection and trying to smooth things out for developers, Initia is definitely making a play to be, a key part of how this multi-chain future evolves.
All right, this feels like a good spot to pause for a moment. If you're finding this breakdown of Initia interesting and valuable,
which hopefully you are,
then we wanted to let you know about a way to potentially save a bit on your crypto trading. Our listeners can get 20% off Bitget trading fees.
Nice.
Just use our special link, Bitget Deal. You can find it in the show notes.
Cool, so saving some fees there.
Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's get to the part many people are probably waiting for. The big question. How might people, users, devs, investors, potentially benefit financially from getting involved with Initia?
Right, the potential income streams or value accrual. Let's break it down by group. Maybe start with the average user.
That's good. What's in it for them, besides hopefully a smoother experience?
Well, one feature they highlight is something called VIP, short for Vested Interest Program.
VIP.
Yeah, and the idea is it rewards users for doing things that help grow the Initia ecosystem. So think of it like getting rewards, maybe tokens or something, for being an active participant.
Like loyalty points, but for contributing to the network.
Sort of, yeah. Programmatic incentives. They even mention a VIP 2.0, which sounds like it might specifically reward activity across different rollups, encouraging people to explore the whole ecosystem.
Interesting. Okay, what about more direct ways, getting the INIT token itself?
Sure. Airdrops are sometimes a thing in crypto, giving tokens to early users or supporters. That's happened in the past.
Right.
More recently, there's the Binance Launchpool. That's happening right now, where users can stake BNB, FDUSD, or even USDC to earn INIT tokens before they start trading widely.
Okay, so farming tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And then trading.
Yep, trading is coming up. Opportunities for trading will open up there.
We got to be careful with new listings, right? Especially Launchpool ones.
Absolutely. Volatility can be crazy high right after listing. Definitely something to be aware of. Manage your risk.
Good point. Anything else for users?
Well, there's also the testnet. Initia has been running its Inertia testnet. Sometimes participating actively in testnets can lead to rewards later on, maybe an airdrop or other benefits. No guarantees, but it happens.
Okay, so several possibilities for users. VIP program, Launchpool, trading, maybe testnet rewards. What about developers? Why build on Initia?
For devs, the big draw is that flexibility we talked about. The Interwoven stack helps developers spin up custom rollups using different virtual machines.
Right, the EVM, Move, WASM support.
Exactly. Being able to build a layer 2 that's perfectly tuned for their specific application, that's huge. It could help them attract users looking for that particular function.
And the liquidity aspect helps too.
Massively. Having access to that enshrined liquidity on the L1 means their app can potentially tap into ready-made liquidity for swaps and other functions.
So they don't need to bring millions in capital just to get started with basic swaps for their users.
Potentially, yes. It lowers that barrier. Plus, thinking long-term, if that VIP program takes off, developers might be able to integrate their applications with it.
So they could use the VIP system to reward users within their own minutiae.
That seems like a possibility, yeah. Driving adoption for their specific app using the network's incentive layer.
Okay, that sounds like a pretty compelling package for developers.
Yeah.
Now, what about investors? People looking at INAT as an investment.
From an investment perspective, there are a few angles. First, Initia has already raised significant funding.
Oh, yeah? From who?
Some big names in the VC space. Binance Labs, Doi Ventures, Hack VC, and Theory VC. Getting backing like that from established crypto VCs, well, it's often seen as a positive signal, shows some institutional confidence.
Indicates some belief in the long-term potential.
You could interpret it that way, yes. Then there's the staking aspect. While they don't detail direct INX staking rewards in the same way as, say, proof-of-stake chains.
Right, it's the XLP staking for liquidity.
Correct. But the fact that the core mechanism involves pairing INE with other valuable assets like ETH or stablecoins to provide this crucial liquidity, it suggests there will likely be rewards for those providing that liquidity. You're contributing something vital.
So potentially yield from providing liquidity via those XLP tokens.
That seems very likely, yes. And then ultimately, the biggest factor for investors is just the overall success of the ecosystem.
If the whole interwoven rollups idea takes off.
Exactly. If Initia manages to attract lots of developers building cool minutias and lots of users interacting with them because the experience is genuinely better,
then the demand for the native INI token, for staking, for gas, for governance maybe, would likely increase.
That's the core value proposition for a long-term investor, yeah. Ecosystem growth driving token value.
Okay, so it really does seem like there are potential pathways for users, developers, and investors to gain something here, financially or otherwise.
Yeah, and that's often key for a blockchain network's success, isn't it? Aligning those incentives so everyone benefits from contributing to growth.
Well, that pretty much brings us towards the end of our deep dive today on the Initia network. Quite an ambitious project.
Definitely ambitious, trying to weave together this multi-chain world in a new way.
It certainly presents a unique take on building a more connected blockchain future.
It does. And maybe it leaves you, our listener, with a question to chew on. In this world that just keeps getting more crowded with different blockchains, could Initia's approach, this idea of interwoven rollups, actually be a really significant step towards that seamless, user-friendly Web3 we keep talking about?
That's a good question. Is this the architecture that starts to really solve that fragmentation?
It's definitely a project worth keeping an eye on to see how it unfolds.
Absolutely. Well, if you found this exploration helpful and want to stay up to date on other innovative projects that are shaping Web3,
and hear us break them down like this,
make sure you subscribe to the Deep Dive for more. Thanks for tuning in today.
Thanks for watching all the way through. If you enjoy this kind of research video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more of them. Trade safe, everyone, and keep those losses small.